KK's offering his services to you all. Do you want to take a gander at that? And they talked internally about it, probably had a couple meetings and said, all right, yeah, we'll get back to you. And then he winds up with the Jays.
It's in Tampa, at least this year. It's in Tampa. And this year, you have an issue with your outfielders. Two natural outfielders, DeLuca and Josh Lowe. And
you are Locked On Rays, your daily Tampa Bay Rays podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome into Locked On Rays, your daily podcast covering everything Tampa Bay Rays, from game analysis to player interviews. We've got you covered with all the latest news and insights. My name is Kevin Weiss.
I'm Ulises Sambrano,
bringing you expert analysis and passionate discussions about our beloved Rays.
Whether you're a die-hard fan who vividly remembers Longo's Game 162 just like us,
or you remember the early Devil Ray days of Wade Boggs and Carl Crawford,
we are here to break down every play, every trade, and every milestone. In fact, this will be our 7th season covering the Rays daily.
In every season up till 2024 and waiting on 2025, they've gone to the playoffs, but you can still grab your favorite Rays gear, settle in, and subscribe to our Locked On Rays YouTube channel and other podcast platforms. You can also find us on X and Instagram at Locked On Rays.
Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new FanDuel customers can get $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. Download the app or head to FanDuel.com to get started.
Well, Ulises, before we get into the topics of the day, I think we have to enlighten the audience about something. "55 days since the bonds were approved." Have you been able to do your homework and determine any Rays players that don the number 55 double nickel?
You know what? I actually do have 12 players.
Holy cow.
I think the most well-known would be Matt Moore.
Okay.
2011 to 2016, but there are really good names in here. Let's talk about Toby Hall, Chad Qualls, let's say Ryan Stanek. That's a good one. Luke Raley, who would have been nice to have had this season, and the best name, or one of the best names in all of baseball, Mr. Dick Lovelady.
Wow.
Richard Lovelady. Yeah.
So a lot of pitchers wear the number 55, evidently. Yeah. Man, it would have been nice to have Luke Raley in a Rays uniform this past season. But you got to do what you got to do to find a shortstop when your other shortstop gets into legal trouble and you're all out of options pretty much there. All right, let's get to a couple topics here. We're going to talk about the Rays promotional schedule later on, which I should note, I think Ryan Stanek was the brainchild of one of the Rays' better promotional items over the years with the bottle opener. And of course, that a play on him being a part of the opener revolution, pitching revolution in baseball, that is. So we will get to the Rays 2025 promotional schedule. But first, we did want to mention and note that I think we can call him a legend in a Rays uniform, Kevin Kiermaier. He has definitely retired. There is no plans for him to come back to play professional baseball unless he wants to, go the Indie League route or the Mexican League or something like that. But his Major League Baseball days are certainly over. If you read the article by Topkin, he's basically like, yeah, I couldn't make it through a Major League season at 34 years old at this point. A lot of wear and tear on those knees when you consider all the games that he played at Tropicana Field, all the running that he did and so forth. But he is joining not the Rays, but the Blue Jays organization as a special assistant, or like he likes to call a special assistant / outfield specialist / outfield whisperer. So he is not necessarily taking time off in his post-playing life. He is getting into the coaching realm, the coaching route, the advisory route. And I'm all for it. The only thing I wish was that maybe he could have done this for the Rays and not the Blue Jays, the team that he spent, 10 plus years with versus a team that he spent a year plus with. But I'll digress from that, I suppose.
Well, you better not digress because we got 2 segments on this puppy. Right. Look, what you said is what makes me think there's no way that the Rays approached him and he said no. He has a house in Tampa, has lived in Tampa for a better part of the decade. Yes. He is a Rays legend. He is. There's no other player that has had the on-field success defensively as he has, and he has the hardware to prove it, and he's got the highlight reel to prove it. There's nothing.
And frankly, there may never be. He might be the greatest defender in Rays franchise history of all time. Not just now, but even fast forward into the future when
100%.
Who knows? It could be the Nashville Rays or the San Antonio Rays. I know I'm a little premature on that, but I think his abilities on the defensive side will stand the test of time, which, again, segue here, he should eventually make it and track into the quote-unquote Rays Hall of Fame. He is not an MLB Hall of Famer, a baseball Hall of Famer by any means necessary, but I think there should be some sort of ceremony or honoring of what he did in the Rays uniform and putting him in the team's hall at some point in time. I'm sure they'll get around to it. They've got other players that they have to consider and acknowledge as well.
Well, the body isn't even, cold yet. So yeah, you got to let that puppy, warm up, or at least in this case, get a little bit colder. But no, having said all of that, which is completely true, and I adhere by that, but if you take all of that into the context, there's no way that the Rays offered this to him and he said no, which then makes me think they didn't offer this to him. In that case, why the bleep are you not doing this? Because if we didn't hear about this, Kevin, that KK was possibly being tagged as a special assistant, an outfield whisperer of sorts from the Jays, it's okay that we fans don't hear about that stuff. I'm sure Eric Neander hears about the rumblings that might be something that could be in the works. So why didn't they approach him? I really have to start from there, because I don't think there exists a world where KK was offered this by the Rays and he says no. I just don't see it, given all of the things that we said. Okay. Plus, again, the dude lives in Tampa, has a house in Tampa, has his family in Tampa, right? So we got to start from the why didn't they do this? Especially, look, Kevin, I think we've talked about this a little bit, but now that spring training is right around the corner, we're going to be focusing on this.
Mm-hmm.
Kevin, there are only 2 natural outfielders in this Rays team right now. Yeah. Their names, Johnny DeLuca and Josh Lowe. Anybody else that you're going to put there in left field or just to have some outfield playing time, they ain't actual natural outfielders. They're not. Morel isn't. Caballero isn't. Palacios isn't. Aranda isn't. So they're just 2. So wouldn't it be incredibly prudent for a team that just only has 2 outfielders to maybe have a guy that is the best defensive outfielder since 2014 to guide your outfielders or your quote unquote wannabe outfielders? Isn't that something that you should be aiming to help your team with?
That's a good question, and I will try to answer that. But first, we have to tell the audience something important, and that is this. When the game tips off, the NBA action is just getting started, and there's no better place to get in on that than FanDuel. They are America's #1 sportsbook. With FanDuel, you can place live bets throughout the game, So even if you miss the opening tip-off or want to bet on a fourth quarter comeback, you can stay in the action. And if you're looking for a bigger payout, you can even combine your live bets into a same game parlay. So what are you waiting for? Right now, new FanDuel customers can get $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. That's FanDuel.com for your shot at $150 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel. They are the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Okay, so a couple things here. One, according to Topkin's article, KK said he talked seriously with the Rays, the Jays, and a third team about the job. Okay. So that gives off the impression that the Rays were at least interested in some type of role for KK, unless it was him and his agents that like heavily approached the Rays is, hey, KK's offering his services to you all. Do you want to take a gander at that? Mm-hmm. And they talked internally about it, probably had a couple meetings and said, all right, yeah, we'll get back to you. And then he winds up with the Jays. So I have essentially three theories on this. One, the Rays don't have the money to spend or don't want to spend money on KK being a part-time special assistant and roving minor league coach. Two, I think it would I think it'd be important to have, KK's expertise on any organization, but I think it would even make more sense if the Rays were playing in the Trop this season so he could impart the wisdom of the Trop dimensions, how it's laid out, how to play balls in the air. Just he is so naturally familiar with being an outfielder at the Trop that would carry a little bit more weight. But as we know, the Rays are playing at Steinbrenner Field this year, and we don't know when the Trop will be repaired, if it will be repaired in 2026 and beyond. And the other thing is maybe the Rays just don't think he would be that good of a coach. And my thought on that is this. You see a lot of players that are great in one aspect. They have trouble imparting their wisdom to younger players because they were just so naturally good at it. Like Barry Bonds, for example, right, as a hitting coach with the Marlins. And I'm sure there were other reasons behind why he wasn't successful. But sometimes it's just, or like Michael Jordan being a coach. He's so good, right, he can't explain it or detail it in a way to a guy that's never going to be as good as him. He was just that naturally gifted. And tied into that, maybe in addition to the money, it was just other considerations. Oh, he only wants to work this part of the year and he wants these riders attached. I mean, maybe there was too much cost and not enough benefit for the Rays to bring him on board. So that is my trifold theory on what transpired there.
The quote says, he said, I pretty much just gave every team the same offer and wanted to see who was willing to work with me and wanted to sign up for the potential impact I could make. Ross Atkins made a great hire. I'm going to thrive in this role and I can't wait. And like you said, Jays, Rays, and apparently a third team, we're talking about the job. I have to tell you, after that quote, when he says, I pretty much just gave every team the same offer, that's money. The Rays were, they look at those dollar signs and they were like, nah, especially because like you said, if he wants to have a part-time job, which like he even says, you can't even call it a part-time job. It would be even less than that.
It's kind of working at his leisure whenever he's available. Like, all right, I'm free this weekend. I can roll over there.
I don't have to drive the kids to school this week. Well, guess what? You would have him more available in Tampa.
I know that's kind of what shudders me is the fact that he does live in Tampa, and even for the home games, like
They're in Tampa
20-minute drive from, I assume he lives in South Tampa somewhere, or a private gated community. Wherever it is very close in relation to he can get to Sambrano Field relatively.
There's no for this him he didn't have there's the bridge. There ain't no bridge, yeah. Okay, at least not this year. So it has to be money, right? Like there's no other way around this.
Yeah. No, I think that's part of it. And I'd be curious to see how much money he was asking for. I mean, it couldn't be that much for what he would provide. I would assume probably in the 6-figure plus range. But again, the Rays are, if we believe them and read the press clippings, they are as strapped for cash as it gets, and they just felt it wasn't worth the investment.
That's crazy.
I honestly can't name you. It would have been a great PR story, and maybe taken away in a good way from the stadium mess and the Sternberg mess that is going on. But I guess they couldn't advocate it enough in their budget. They got to use that on some other line item. They got to scrape up their pennies. They don't have 2 pennies to rub together for a new stadium. So that's what they have to do.
It really is like that. They looked at it and they were like, we're going to get this much from KK's availability, maybe even more than the Jays, but the 6 figures are just not there for us. Like that's insane, because like you said, it would be such a goodwill power up for the fan base to know, hey, they went out there and got us KK, and we're going to see him and everything that he can do with the glove. He might be able to give some of that away. And like you said, there is something to that. You know, Barry Bonds is not going to be the greatest hitting coach, and Michael Jordan either. And, you know, Snyder, for example, great pitching coach. Jim Hickey, great pitching coach. Are they Greg Maddux? Are they Randy Johnson? No, they're not.
Kevin Cash, was he a great legendary catcher? By no means.
Exactly. Terry Francona, you know? So, like, I understand that point of it. It's just, it baffles me that, like, how much money did you, was the offer that they just said, you know what? Nah, we're not going to do this. Especially, it's Tampa. Like, it's in Tampa. At least this year, it's in Tampa. And this year, you have an issue with your outfielders. Again, 2 natural outfielders, DeLuca and Josh Lowe. And guess what? DeLuca is an incredibly athletic outfielder. I would love it if a Johnny DeLuca would be around KK for spring training. My God, that would do such wonders for that kid.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. And I think that it also helps the fact that Kiermaier is young and he knows the present state of the game as it is. And he can tell war stories of going through the AL East and going through the playoffs and winning a championship. Some people forget that he won a championship with the Dodgers, as much of a footnote as it may be. So he can impart some of that wisdom of, this is what it takes to get to the next level and to stay at the next level. And this is what you have to do, because, and I know he dealt with injuries here and there, and we would joke about that, but you don't last in the big leagues for 10, 11, 12 years by accident. And I think the fact that he's 34 and not 54 or 64, that could resonate more with these players. In fact, probably a lot of these players grew up, whether they were a Rays fan or not, they're watching KK highlights. And
that's how big KK was.
That he was able to do. I'm sure they watched the World Series and some of the plays that he made, in 2020 and during that period.
That's how big KK was, that you didn't, from a small market, even if you didn't follow them, you knew who KK was if you're into baseball, because the highlight reels were there. Not only did he win a championship, like you said, 2020, he was in the World Series twice. He was in the playoffs multiple times. Like you said, AL East, he knows what it's like to play against the Red Sox, the Yankees, the Jays, I guess the Rays as well, the Orioles. It would have just been such a great added benefit for the team to have it. And it really just kind of floored me when I saw that first, hey, he's back so soon in baseball. That's kind of cool. It's rare to see that. At least guys take like a couple years off. He didn't. He's like, nah, I'm in the grind. But wow, the Jays, that did kind of stun me. I needed to talk about it.
It really did. No, it makes sense, and I love that quote where it's like, Ross Atkins made a great hire in hiring me.
So
he has not lost that confidence or pizzazz, which you certainly need a little bit of. And just because now doesn't mean never. There could be a day in the future where the Rays
hopefully
might want to utilize his services. But yeah, we just wanted to mention that. And he did have the year he left the Rays and went to the Jays, he had an eye-opening season. Like, he was a four-war player. I can't remember many seasons where KK had a 265 batting average and 740 plus OPS, but he did that with the Blue Jays somehow, some way. So good for him.
Sometimes when you have a chip on your shoulder, man, it does wonders.
That can make a difference for sure. And on a 1-year deal, prove it deal and all that. All right, real quickly, let's get to the Rays 2025 promotional schedule. So there are a lot of promos as per usual, and I'll just list them here. They're also on the screen on the YouTubes if you're following along. On March 28th, there is a schedule magnet. On May 21st, there is a Devil Rays 90s hat. On May 27th, there's a City Connect tropical shirt. On June 5th, a Steinbrenner Field Bobble Series Junior Caminero bobblehead. On June 8th, a cooling towel. June 19th, the Steinbrenner Field Bobble Series Shane Baz bobblehead. June 22nd, Shane McClanahan player pin. July 2nd, another Steinbrenner Field Bobble Series Taj Bradley bobblehead. Late July, we get to, I believe that's July 20th, a rope hat. July 22nd, a Josh Lowe City Connect bobblehead. August 2nd, trading card day. August 24th, sunglasses. And September 1st, a Rays football jersey. So I believe there's 13 different promotions going on. And I should note on the Bobble Series, the Steinbrenner Field Bobble Series, the bottom, the base of the bobblehead for those three players will eventually read GMS as an ode to the Rays playing at Steinbrenner Field and George Steinbrenner, who has legendary status, not only in baseball, but in the Tampa Bay area for all he has done. So, Ulises, overall, your thoughts on the promos? Is it pretty status quo for what you expected? Anything else you wanted to see? So on and so forth.
I think it's status quo. I mean, I got to tell you, I've had more years where I'm like, damn, I need to have that. I think the only one that kind of has that reaction for me is either the Devil Rays 90s hats.
Yeah, that looks pretty nice.
Or the Rays football jersey.
Okay.
Just unique things. Maybe the City Connect tropical shirt. That might be cool too. Those three, I think, make my podium. I do have to tell you something, Kev. And then this is big news for all Locked On Rays listeners that hit that like button, that hit the subscribe button, that have been with us for years, since 2019. I got big news.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is the first year I might not be into bobbleheads.
Oh my gosh, you're bobbleheaded out? Well, you don't really have much more room in your house because you've got like 80 of them. You should start putting them on eBay.
I actually have thought about maybe like giving them away to kids or something like that. Like,
give them away to the Buddy Baseball kids. That could work.
Nice. By the way, Buddy Baseball people, it starts February 15th, the same day as Rays Fan Fest. Just a quick shout out to Buddy Baseball. If you feel like volunteering an hour and a half of your day, it's a great thing you can do. My
podium is really just two.
What is it?
I'm not a big bobblehead guy. I mean, I like what they did with the tie-in to playing at Steinbrenner Field, but
sure.
Every year they're going to give away X number of bobbleheads. So to me, it's kind of same old. And I know hats the same way, but I do like the look of the 90s hat. I think that is a unique twist. And then the rope hat is a popular thing, and hopefully it's high quality. So what's
a rope hat?
It's basically like a little rope that's on the front of the hat. It's become very popular over the last couple of years. So rope hats are all the rage.
Well, so what? You can just put like a pen on that rope?
I don't know I really don't know the purpose of the rope. I think it's just a style thing. I don't think there's anything that the rope does. It just is a rope on front of the bill. Yeah.
Okay, I see it.
I don't really get it, but it's popular, particularly among golfers and white dudes, I think.
Seems like you could. Yeah. That's all the images I have right now on Google. It seems like, first of all, you need a mullet to wear this rope hat.
I think that's part of the prerequisite. Yeah.
That's a prereq. And then number 2, it feels like you could just do like a little, like a ticket or like a little thing. You could like use the rope.
Yeah, you could, if you're Hassan Kim, you could stick a cigarette in between the rope and the hat and you're in business, or a string of cigarettes.
If you were KK, you would put your little cheat sheet of your outfield shifting.
That could work as well. There's multiple options with that. So yeah, it's pretty, I would say, humdrum as far as this year's promotional schedule goes. I mean, if there's one thing, this is pretty cheeky, I would say, but you have the sunglasses for being outside at Sambrano Field. What about some sort of branded umbrella for not only the sun, or not only the rain, but the sun? Because people use umbrellas in the sun. So you could do some sort of City Connect umbrella being at Steinbrenner Field. I thought that would have been a decent tie-in.
Also, I love the umbrella idea. I love the City Connect. Why aren't we putting these sunglasses and the umbrella that should have been here? Why are you putting that in April? Why are you giving me sunglasses in bleeping late August 24th?
Yeah.
Give it to me in the beginning of the season so I can use them the whole damn year.
Yeah, that seems like that should be a March or April giveaway for sure. The other thing too, which is always I just like to make a note of this. There are no player-related promo items or player-themed promo items after the trade deadline. So everything is done July 22nd and before that. Not to say that Josh Lowe will be traded or Taj Bradley will be traded or Shane Baz will be traded, but they time those, I think, relatively properly, just in case the occasion is brought up.
Conspiracy theory, Kevin.
These
guys work around the clock. They as soon as it's done, they work on the next one. I'm sure of it. How many of these were done and were not touched before Hurricane Milton?
Oh, that's a good point.
What needed to be scratched off from the promotional schedule due to the hurricane?
Well, I think they definitely had to reformat the schedule magnet. They had to add the Steinbrenner Field bobbleheads last minute, or maybe they already had the idea that these are the players we're going to do. And but last second base change, we need GMS on the 3 bobbleheads to combine there. I would say that's about it. I think that's about it. Unless you have another idea. Maybe they threw in the cooling towel as well. That's an easy one to get. I mean, it can't be too difficult to find a manufacturer to produce imprint your logo on a cooling towel. Bing, bang, boom, we're done.
Although maybe the cooling towel was done except for instead of the umbrella. I would have liked both though.
Yeah. So I guess we're in the agreement that maybe they could up their game next year.
I've seen a way better promotional schedule by the Rays in years past.
In their respect, though, in their defense, they have a lot going on right now. So,
right. The marketing team was like, we need to do way more than the promotional. The promotional schedule can be in the back burner. And then they finally go, oh, crap, we didn't do that.
We forgot about it. Yeah,
let's do it.
Exactly. Let's Google easy promo items. Let's get it done.
It's not horrible. It's just we have had the standard for Rays promotional schedule so high up that this one kind of seems like a little bit of a letdown, but I'm sure that if you compare it to other teams, it would just be right around the average.
Right. Yeah, I'm with you there. All right. In the meantime, hope you all have a wonderful day. Stay safe, and we will talk to you later on.